been called to order. Please call the roll.
Robert Lane Jr.
Here.
Kevin B. McMillan.
Here.
Carol Rizzo is absent. Nicholas Williams.
Here.
Dr. Mayor Michael Brantley is absent.
Also present on the days, Vito Nicodeletto, Business Administrator, Gene Anthony, Township Attorney, and Pamela Howard, Assistant Municipal Clerk this evening. Please rise for a moment of silence and flag salute. Please remember in your prayers this evening the victims and the families of the recent shootings in Las Vegas this past weekend. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Billionaire.
You're not one.
The notice requirements of RS 10:4-18 have been satisfied by the publication of the required advertisement in the Asbury Park Press on January 5th, 2017, and in the Coaster on January 12th, 2017, posting the notice on the board in the municipal complex, filing a copy of said notice with the municipal clerk. In addition, the meeting agenda, resolutions, and ordinances are posted online at www.neptunetownship.org.
Fire exits are located in the rear of the room and to my right. In the event of fire, you will be notified by fire alarm and or public address system, then proceed to the nearest smoke-free exit.
Okay, may we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll offer.
Offered by Committeeman McMillan.
I'll second.
Second by Committeeman Lane. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. Clerk.
The following communications are on file in the clerk's office. Notices of public hearings on amendments to the land development ordinance of the Township of Wall.
Okay, in lieu of the mayor this evening, who's not feeling well, the mayor will proclaim October 10th as put on the brakes on Fatalities Day in the Township of Neptune. Again, the mayor's not here this evening, he's not feeling well, so in his place you have me. Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Barry Colacelli as our third police committee member. At the last meeting, Mr. Barry Colacelli was appointed to the Township Police Committee as the third civilian member. Mr. Colacelli was interviewed and approved by the entire Township Committee by Resolution 17-237 at the September 28th meeting. Mr. Colacelli has an extensive law enforcement career with a command-level background as a retired Neptune captain of the Detective Bureau, and also a special assistant to former mayors Palmer and Muscal of Trent, New Jersey. In 2004, Mr. Colacelli opened up his private police consulting and investigative company, assisting various police departments and chiefs with management, gang and gun violence, and in other areas, for setting goals and strategies for the sworn officers of the police departments that he has worked with. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce to you and have him come up and say a few words to you this evening, retired Police Captain Barry Colacelli.
Thank you. I'm going to face the town and I'll turn to everybody here. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm happy to be here. I first want to thank the Township Committee for selecting me as the third member of the Neptune Police Oversight Committee. I'm truly honored and humbled. I'm looking forward to working as a member of this all-important team. I also want to take this time to state I'm impressed by the Township Committee. It recognizes the needs of the community first and the foresight.
The mic is not working. I'm sorry.
Can everybody hear me?
The mic. Your mic.
You can't? No. Okay. Let me see if you get.
I think it is on.
Tommy,
You just need to talk.
Got Got it, all right, I'll try it again, all right. So I also want to take this time to state I'm impressed by the Township Committee in recognizing the needs of the community first and the foresight to take an unprecedented action like this, to move the police department forward in a more efficient and focused way. The Police Oversight Committee reflects the fact that Neptune Township has reached a transition point to assist the Neptune Police to set the standard for professional policing in the state of New Jersey. I intend to bring my 30 years of sworn law enforcement background and experience as a Newark detective captain and 5 years of experience as administrative member of the City of Trenton Mayor's Office, most recently under George Michelle. I also want to ensure the Neptune Committee this is truly a team effort, and as such, I'll be guided by my colleagues as we proceed as a team. I intend to serve this esteemed committee as well as the citizens of Neptune to the best of my ability, and thank you again for the honor.
Thank you, Mr. Colachelli. This time we'll have comments from the dais, starting to my far left.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, I guess Acting Mayor. Just like to thank the Office of the Clerk and also the Office of Eric Hotelling for preparing resolutions and proclamations for me. This past Saturday, we had an event where the proceeds were to be donated to the American Cancer Association, and we had the honor to honor Dr. Denise Johnson Miller of Meridian. She is the medical director of the breast surgery department, so I'd just like to thank the department, Pam and Rick, let them know for getting those proclamations to me on time. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Lane.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, I want to thank Barry for coming aboard. I think it's going to be a great committee here, and we'll put the residents first, like you said, and I speak great things with this committee. I just want to thank you for that. I recently attended the Night for Sight with the Lions Club. They're a great organization here in Neptune. I attended it with the mayor and deputy mayor last Saturday. It's great to see how every little section of town has different organizations that help others, which is great to see. I also attended our Veterans Park. They had American League of Auxiliary Department in New Jersey come in. They're out for the whole state of New Jersey looking for POWs and MIA officers. I was just recently informed they found 5 more soldiers that were from New Jersey. This is a task that is so overwhelming, sometimes you don't know where to start, but they take this to heart. They had a nice somber ceremony at our own Veterans Park, and these commanders came all through parts of New Jersey, come down to our Veterans Park. And they said they want to come back to our park again because it's such a well-designed and such a memorial to all those soldiers that we lost. On a nice note, we do have a nice coming weekend coming up. It's one of the few ones, a few that's probably left. There's a few events that are coming around. One is my Pound the Pavement for Pancreatic Cancer with Eric Hotelling and Tom Arnone. That's this Saturday. If you guys are not runners and you like to walk or try for a gift basket, that starts at 10 a.m. We also have in Ocean Grove, the Harvest Festival. That's from 10 to 4. And we also have an organization that is close to my heart. They have their office here in Neptune. It's the Jersey Shore Dream Center. Their offices here in Neptune, but they basically work any area from Asbury, Neptune, wherever the need is there. They always have homes for unwed mothers, drug addicts. So what they're doing a night of dreams where they're raising money to help to keep giving back to the community. So if anybody's interested into that, it's at the Word View Pavilion. There's still tickets available, and that's from 7 to 11 on Saturday night. And if any question, you can see me afterwards. That's all I have, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Commitment Land. On 2 things, my marina, the security cameras are finally going up. They're well into the project. I stopped there today. I found out that the wiring, most of the electricity are done. And he'll be installing the cameras within the next week or 2. So it's a project that we waited for to protect the boat owners, to keep security watches on them, and to make sure that our boats are safe in the marina. Again, DPW, don't forget Columbus Day, they're on a holiday schedule, so for anybody that's involved with garbage pickups or recycling, remember Monday will be a holiday, so they'll go into their alternate holiday schedule. And again, I attended the Lions Club annual dinner dance with Committeeman Lane and Mayor Brantley. It was a great night. Hoping that a lot of money was raised for the Lions Club. It's a great organization. I was one of the original members in Neptune. There was about 10 of us who started it. Well, we met in the back of the IHOP, and it's been growing pretty good since then. I think they're now up to about 15, 20 members and still growing. At this time, we'll have public comments on resolutions. Public comments regarding resolutions presented on this agenda only. The public will be permitted one visit to the microphone with a limit of 5 minutes.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, today, I have to table resolution 17401 due to a more review of it with the entire committee. So I want to table 17401.
Make a motion.
Yeah, make a motion.
I second.
Motion made by Committeeman Lane, seconded by Committeeman McMillan. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that Resolution 17-401 was a part of our consent agenda. We voted on it and we're removing it from the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Okay, rest of the resolutions? Anybody want to speak? Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Good God. Gentleman here on the committee, did I hear him say he was going to execute the functions as a citizen of Neptune, or I thought I heard him say citizen of Neptune. I didn't hear the first part of the sentence.
No.
Do you remember what you said?
Very much so.
What did you say, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
I said I would do a good job representing the people here of that.
Oh, you said citizen
Representing
of
the
Neptune.
citizens of Neptune.
Resident. I'm sure I missed what he said, that's why I was asking. Okay, I have a question on resolution 403 and 406.
Well,
The energy study and the matter with Sean Hubbard.
okay, the energy, 403 was the grid, I believe the
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we got four RFQs,
Right.
and they were reviewed by Mr. Gadaletta, they were reviewed by Leanne Hoffman, they looked at the four.
No, what's the nature of the study? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
Oh,
I'm not disputing the
okay,
study
I thought you
process.
wanted to know the
No,
process.
I'm sure that's all.
Peter, you want to explain that?
Yeah, just quickly. The township submitted an application for a $150,000 grant from the Board of Public Utilities to undertake a microgrid feasibility study. And essentially what it is looking at options for creating redundancy in the provision of energy should the standard outside system shut down as a result of a storm or other man-made disaster, that critical facilities in the township would be able to stand alone.
Okay.
And so we actually had the highest ranked application because of our campus here that includes the hospital, the school district, the municipal facilities, the county facilities across the street, senior center. We truly have a campus that could be, would allow for the creation of a standalone energy grid. Should the outside energy grid go down, we would be able to support it ourselves.
And the other resolution 406?
406, I'll let our attorney, Mr. Anthony, give you the details of it.
What's your question?
What's it all about?
This involves a matter that goes back to 2016. Apparently, Mr. Hubbard at the time was charged with domestic violence and civil assault. In January, he was suspended without pay since January 5th, which was the same date that he was charged. He was found not guilty on June 6, 2017 of all charges, but there are still administrative proceedings for discipline that are pending.
Right.
And until those proceedings are completed, at the time, he was still suspended without pay. This is a separate matter where he brought a Superior Court action saying, under the law, you can suspend me, and keep me out of Municipal Hall and everything else, but it has to be with pay because I was found not guilty in municipal court and until your administrative proceedings are done. So this eliminates those claims that were brought by, he didn't seek damages. What he was seeking was basically to restore his pay.
Back pay.
Right. So this is basically an agreement that he gets his pay, but he remains suspended with pay. He's not going to be in Municipal Hall. He's not going to carry a weapon, and until the proceedings are done, which I can't say anything more about because they're pending.
And pending the outcome of the administrative proceedings, is it possible that the issue regarding back pay could be overturned? I'm just curious.
No, because we're reaching a settlement on that.
Okay. So that this basically
This
finishes-
finalizes that aspect.
and then he'll be back to regular duty?
No, he's suspended without pay until the end of the disciplinary proceedings. I don't know how that's going to go. I can't speculate. You know, that will determine whether he comes back, whether he doesn't come back, whether it's discipline, whether it's not.
And is that being done in the courts, or is there a hearing officer or something?
We have an in-house procedure for that.
Yeah.
We usually get a retired judge that hears the matter and makes a determination.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. Anybody else on resolutions? Dorothy Archibald.
Dorothy Archibald, I forget my address.
1700.
That's Sean Hubbard versus Township of Neptune. I didn't hear it all because I'm deaf, but that's a police officer who's suing Neptune? I'm
Police
sorry.
officer filed a suit against Neptune because he was suspended without pay.
Okay.
And he sought to get pay. And the agreement was, you know, since that he's still subject to administrative proceedings, he may be disciplined under that, I don't know, and I can't comment on that. But the agreement is that he does get paid, but he's suspended until further hearings.
Can we know the reason why he was suspended?
His original suspension, as I told Mr. Gallup, was for, he was charged with assault and domestic violence, but those charges were dismissed in municipal court.
Okay, so it was between him and his family or wife?
Yes.
Okay. Gee, I wanted to commend you for 17-401 because we owe such a lot of money to taxpayers because of things that the police have done for which we're being sued. And I wanted to commend you for 17-401, which seems as if it would put a limit on how deeply our pockets can be picked by our police department. But I don't know whether I'm entitled to talk on it or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. Any other comments on resolutions this evening? Seeing none, we close this portion of the meeting. We're on to ordinances. For each ordinance with a public hearing, the public is permitted 1 minute to the microphone with a limit of 5 minutes. We have 2 ordinances this evening. One could be commented on, and one will be a first reading.
Ordinance number 17-40 is an ordinance to amend Volume 1, Chapter 7 of the Code of the Township of Neptune by adding Section 7-716 entitled Abandoned Vehicles. This is a final reading, and the explanatory statement is as follows. This ordinance establishes the definition of abandoned vehicle and prohibits the parking of an abandoned vehicle on public streets or public property.
Any comments on that? Ms. Clark?
Thank you. Nancy Clark, 47 Embury. Good evening, John. I stand here actually in support of this ordinance, and I think it's a wonderful idea. My question around it is, how will the information about this new ordinance be disseminated to our residents? I know that it would be normally on the website, things like that, but I'm thinking about my neighbors, including one that left her car not moving in front of my house for over 4 months, only moved when they had to clear the snow. But she doesn't have internet. She doesn't have a cell phone. She's a renter. Doesn't pay attention, obviously, to much announcements. So my question is, but these are the kind of people that we really need to reach out to. And so I'm just asking how the township is going to let all of the residents know and owners about this new ordinance, which I think is a great idea.
Well, certainly we can put that information out through all of our media outlets, but we also have, local organizations as well, the property owners associations, the Chamber of Commerce in the township. So we do have an opportunity to actually physically go out at various meetings and discuss it and get that information out there.
I guess my concern is more around the people who are not members of those organizations. Say, on my street, there are several renters and who are not going to be seeing this, on the township website and all. And I think it's important that they know that this is happening. In many cases, these are people whose cars can't get started on a regular basis, so they end up sitting for a long period of time. And what I'm asking is, please, to do all that is possible to reach out to people to let them know about this before all of a sudden they get their a notice about it.
Could we possibly do a small card mail out to the residents indicating that this is not an ordinance?
Well, it's certainly something we could do. I mean, we do our quarterly newsletters coming out actually in the next week, so it's a little too late to get it out now because it's already gone to print. But certainly in the next go round, we can put that information, because that's mailed directly to every
resident.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you very much, because
Thank you.
a good thing to do. Thank you.
Mr. Gallo?
Mike, Clifford Drive. So the ordinance that we're talking about here, first of all, is it your determination, the committee or the administration officially in Neptune, that the majority of people that are creating this problem are renters as opposed to owners, or it crosses over boundaries, doesn't matter?
I think basically from the information we got, Mike, it was across the board. It had to do with a lot of snowbirds that leave their vehicles in particularly Ocean Road,
Okay.
and they go to Florida for 3 months.
Now, if you leave the area, so it's oriented around the presence of an individual at a particular location. It's not oriented around the movement of the car, because there could be somebody that's inferred, somebody that's sick or ill temporarily, or shut in, and they just can't drive their car temporarily for a couple of months, right? That would be an issue, would it?
It would definitely be an issue, but
It would or wouldn't?
I don't believe that we're just gonna go in and tow a vehicle. I think that we would reach out for the resident first to see.
Do some research, right.
If there's something matter, if
Yeah.
it's injured, or if they're hurt, or they can't go out and move their
Right.
car.
On the renter side, because a lot of people are, I don't think inhibited, but they're just not really connected to joining a homeowners association. Maybe you just might want to reach out to some of the real estate agencies in the area that also become the liaison to the renters. They're the ones that are showing the units, and they can, maybe they have a packet of information about Ocean Grove, you just put it in. I'm just concerned because I know I work at an assisted care facility, transportation, and I know some of these folks, they use the transportation that I provide, but some of them say, my car's been out there for 4 or 5 months, I go out there every week or whatever just to rev the engine and start it. And that's private property, and I get there's a lot of real estate in that location. I know that parking's a premium in Ocean Grove. I'm not suggesting they should do that, but there may be an I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
People should, if they're living at the house, if you go away to Florida for 3 or 4 months, then I agree wholeheartedly with people in Ocean Grove. It's not right. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Sirois. I reside at 24 Central Avenue, Ocean Grove, as well as 81 Asbury Avenue, Ocean Grove. My questions regarding your abandoned vehicle proposed ordinance, the definitions of abandonment. I understand paragraph 1, any motor vehicle, blah, blah, blah. But the second part that says, or has been continuously parked in any public street or public land for a period of 30 days or more. Now, My property is the Central Avenue house. We've been running it for 3 centuries. My family has spanned 3 centuries of ownership of this property. I own 2 vehicles, and that's my right. One vehicle is used particularly for my summer hotel. My vehicle is registered, licensed, and legally titled to me and my property address. But I don't use it in the winter. So, are you telling me because I do not have access to a garage, and I live in a locale that has no garages around it, when I park my truck, that's registered to me, insured to me, titled to me, in front of the property that my family has owned and operated over the course of 3 centuries, and I park it there for more than 30 days, you're gonna tow it?
You're gonna get issued a summons unless you move the vehicle every 30 days.
I have no other recourse except to park my vehicle in front of my residence.
You could move it to another spot.
So you want me to keep moving my vehicle around town? Yeah. So you're going to disenfranchise me from the ability to park my vehicle where I own property because I happen to reside in a community without parking?
But you're on a public street.
Well, what else do you suggest? Where else do you suggest a person in Ocean
I think the
Grove
intent of
vehicle?
this is that a lot of people are not receiving parking spaces because other people are leaving their vehicle in the same place for months at a time.
So we're all adults here and we understand the concept to be made whole. I am currently whole, and your ordinance wants to make me not whole. Now, I've already endured this situation once, when my block was the #1 criminal enterprise within Neptune Township back in the early 90s, when it was crime, welfare, it was a mess. I don't know if any of you had to live in that kind of environment, but we did. And my family lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in income. And yet we're still here. And all I want to do is park my truck.
You can park it on the street.
In front of my hotel.
You can park it
I
on
will.
the street.
So,
But you
I don't
can't be
want-
guaranteed a spot. You can't be guaranteed to sit there for as long as you want without moving the vehicle.
Since
That's-
when? Since when has this become a crime?
Since the ordinance
Why?
gets adopted, if it's
Why?
adopted. Because people are saying that people are leaving cars abandoned for over 30 days in the same
So-
spot, and it's depriving residents from the parking spot.
As a resident, with the only ability to park my vehicle in front of my property, you're still gonna issue me a summons?
And that's true with everyone almost in Ocean Grove. I don't know of anyone, very few people have the opportunity not to park on the
So
street.
you're taking there's a terrain here, there's a footprint that does not allow for parking of cars, because the town is built for cars. And now, all of a sudden, it's a problem? No, the problem is we have to conform ourselves to the terrain, that's it. Now, I park my car in front of my house, and I'm gonna do it all winter long. And I really hope you don't deprive me of that right to park my truck in front of my house. You hear me loud and clear? I hope so, because my family has suffered long enough.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you.
Mr. Reed. That's you, Jack. Your name is Mr. Reed, right?
Somebody called me Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Jack Reed, 94.5 Hackney Avenue, Ocean Grove. I think this ordinance is just another excuse for the committee to pick the pockets of the residents of Ocean Grove. It's absolutely absurd how you can tell a car has not been moved for 30 days. What, are you gonna go around and take a picture of every single, you're gonna go do a Google search of every single car in Ocean Grove every day? And then when you see, oh, there's one that didn't move for 30 days, give them a ticket? I don't know how you can do that. I don't think it can be done. In addition to that, I get very nervous in the winter about going out, and that's why I support Ken Buckley's sidewalk shoveling campaign. But the sidewalks aren't shoveled, and a lot of times my car in the winter, and I'm there all year. I'm not in Florida. I'm there all year. I don't go out. I'm afraid of falling. And so according to your ordinance, you're gonna tow my car away. That's absurd. And as long as if you own a house or you rent, even if you rent, your rent is going toward the taxes there, and you have a car, so you want to go to Florida for 3 months. You mean to tell me as long as you're still paying taxes, your car is registered, it's not, and you're going to get a ticket? It makes absolutely no sense. That's why I say it's an excuse to pick the pockets of the residents of Ocean Grove. That's all you're trying to do. It's not going to affect anybody else, any other section of all of Neptune, and it has to, this ordinance will be for everybody in Neptune, not just Ocean Grove. But Ocean Grove is the only one affected. I wish you would table this until you figure this out a little more on how you're going to figure 30 days and why, if you're paying taxes on property, that you can't park your car in front there and go to Florida. That's what you're telling. That's what you're telling everybody in Ocean Grove. Don't go to Florida in the winters. So I think you should table it and give it a little more consideration. Maybe have a meeting in Ocean Grove and see what the people in Ocean Grove have to think. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Well, Dorothy Archer, I think it's outrageous that a lady can't park her car in front of her house. It's not my problem, but I think it's outrageous. I have a question. This ordinance kind of hits poor people who can't afford to have their Rolls Royce in a garage. It hits them, and you've seen the ads for general insurance. It's difficult to maintain a car in these hard times, and yet you need it. I want to ask you specifically, if someone puts their car on a lawn in order to fix it, I trust that's okay, and you're not going to criminalize that.
That's a separate ordinance. We have a separate ordinance.
Oh, you have another ordinance that criminalizes.
And it has been in existence for years and decades.
This is a bloody police state, isn't it? I mean,
you
a
can't open a
police
repair
state
shop in
is
your
where
front
you've
yard,
got
right.
restrictions. I mean, Neptune is a place where you can't grow certain weeds on your property. I mean, when I talk about Neptune, it's in extremes like this. A lady can't park her car in front of her property because if it's still there 30 days later, which it was correct, I don't know how you're going to prove it. If it's still there 30 days later, you're going to ticket her? What are you people thinking? Don't you have any limits? Don't you understand? We are living in hard times, and people need to do what they have to do to get along, and they're trying to do that, and you criminalize everything they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. Sir, you had your hand up for a while.
Hi there. James McNamara, 86 Asbury Avenue, Ocean Grove. I appreciate the comments of the past three residents. To give you a more common or ordinary example of what we're talking about in regard to this ordinance, one of our neighbors across the street who happens to be a renter, she had a flatbed truck come in front of our house and unload a non-working vehicle in front of our neighbor's house. And we said I don't know if you realize this or not, but there's going to be an ordinance that's going to be voted on about warehousing vehicles. And that starting today, you may be subject to that if this car stays there for any length of time, past 30 days. And she said, oh yes, I've lived in other municipalities in this region, and I'm well aware of warehouse vehicle ordinances. I know how to get around them. So that's just giving you another side of the story. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have to get around.
Mr. Coakley.
Oh, Mr. I'm scared.
You and Jack.
Okay, Mr. Williams, 10 Coakley Valley Road. Not that I go to Ocean Grove, but how often do they have to move the car? I mean, if you're there 29 days, and you decide to go to Atlantic City to gamble that day, you start the clock again after you come home?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but again, just sit here and it doesn't affect me. It doesn't sound legitimate. I almost said something wrong. But again, yes, if it bothers you, it's the greatest thing in the world adversely to you. But just looking at it from outsider, I don't think it can be done. But again, if the person, say, works nights, a 4-hour, they go to one of the malls on the 29th day, who is going to clock this? I give you the headaches, and you're welcome to your headaches, especially when we pick on you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cody. Yes, ma'am.
Annabelle Bissett, 77 Hank Avenue. Excuse me,
ma'am, what is your name?
Annabelle Bissett, 77 Hank Avenue. So, I'm just speaking about this because, and I didn't plan to speak about this, but we had a situation in our neighborhood where somebody parked their car across the street, and also they parked it like a half a length away from the curb. So they really took up 2 parking spaces for the entire winter. Luckily, we didn't have a lot of snow, but it was annoying. And this ordinance, in my opinion, wants to give the police the ability to park when they're taking advantage of our streets. I don't think they're going to target anybody who's a resident, because they're probably going to get a call from somebody because they don't recognize the car. So I don't think everybody should really be so upset. I think the township committee is trying to do their best to solve a problem. I've heard friends who said someone was working on cars and just leaving them there for a month in Ocean Grove, and this could happen in Neptune when somebody leaves a car. So I'm sure this is done in other towns, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's a good thing.
Any other comments?
Hey, Jen Coombs. This is Jen Coombs. I have a question. How are you going to enforce this ordinance? Because you don't know when these residents are coming. I would like to know that.
The ordinance exists in other towns. It's enforced the same way as where there's no parking for a period of time, like 30 minutes, or they usually chalk them. There may be other ways of doing it. We'll have to rely on the police department in determining
Okay, but
which way
how?
they can do it.
I would like to know how, because if they go away, go to work, and they come back in the same spot, how do you know if that car moved or not moved?
We'll have to rely upon the police technology on that. They do it in other towns. I don't know the exact.
What is that technology? I would like to know.
I don't know what it is. It may be old-fashioned chalking of the tire. It may be other things.
But ain't that, if you chalk the tires, ain't that vandalism? I'm sorry, I'm just throwing that out there.
No, they're just marking the tire.
But that's gonna be a tough ordinance to enforce, but that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this ordinance? Diana. Ms. Harris.
It does, in certain areas of Midtown, it does affect us as well, but, in many of our cases, it's probably a different type of scenario. We probably don't want them in, so it's a whole different thing. But, as I hear people coming up, and this is kind of how, remember a while back, they did the one on the RVs, okay, when they passed that ordinance, all right, and they told people that they couldn't park and things, and it really was because your neighbors ratted you out. Okay, and that's really what I think this is going to come up to as well, is that it's going to have to be, your neighbors are going to have to complain about it in order for it to be enforced. That's the only way I see it happening.
Thank you, Diana. Seeing any more comments? we close this portion and do I have an offer?
I'll offer, Deputy Mayor.
Offered by Police Commissioner McMillan. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Committeeman Lane. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ordinance number 17-41 is an ordinance to amend Volume 1, Chapter 7 of the Code of the Township of Neptune by adding a resident-only handicap parking zone on Abbott Avenue. This is the first reading. The explanatory statement is as follows. This ordinance authorizes resident-only handicap parking zones in front of 85 Abbott Avenue.
I'll offer.
By Police Commissioner McMillan. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Committeeman Lane. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
The public hearing on ordinance 17-41 will be held on Monday, October 23rd. We will now proceed to our consent agenda, which consists of ordinances 394 through and including 403, with the exception of 401, which we tabled earlier.
Offer.
I'll second.
Offered by Committeeman Lane, second by Commissioner McMillan. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ordinance number 17-404, award bid for refuse truck.
Offer.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Offered by Committeeman Lane, second by Police Commissioner McMillan. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ordinance number 17-405, extend offer of employment for the position of driver in the Department of Public Works to LeVar Wright.
I'll offer.
Offered by Police Commissioner McMillan. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Committeeman Lane. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution number 17-406, authorized settlement agreement in the matter of Sean Hubbard versus the Township of Neptune.
Do I have an offer?
I'll offer.
Offered by Police Commissioner McMillan.
I'll second.
Second by Committeeman Lane. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution number 17-407, authorize the payment of bills in the amount of $2,254,876.81.
Do I have an offer?
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Offered by Committeeman Lane, second by Police Commissioner McMillan. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And this concludes our resolutions for this evening.
At this time, we now have the privilege from the floor and public comments. Members of the public may address any concerns related to the township. The public will be permitted one visit to the microphone with a limit of 5 minutes. You?
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I've been so friendly up until now, right? Annabelle Bissett, 77 Tech Avenue. I just want to quickly say, once again, that I encourage the Township Committee to have a workshop or something to look at resident permit parking and just to give people the fighting chance to have a spot on a weekend. Just maybe a pilot study, and specifically to discourage people from parking here for free and walking to Asbury Park. And to try to discourage that, I suggest you do that whole circle on the north end by Ocean Avenue, to make that whole circle resident only. So that's it.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Gallo.
I wasn't going to actually come up another time about this particular ordinance, and I do support it, but the two women make very good points, Ms. Harris and the other woman that I'm not familiar with, that you're actually, technically, you could be encouraging residents to drop a dime on another resident, and that can get pretty tenuous and can get very adversarial, especially if there's bad blood between them, as we saw with the RVs. There were certain, it was based on complaint, and if you were friendly with somebody, they kind of looked the other way, and then if you weren't, as you know, you were kind of hung out to dry. So I know that that's something now that it's been mentioned, you're going to obviously take a look at it. And I know that the police are pretty much sensitive to that issue as well. But the woman did make a very good point, though, that you could leave for work and come back a couple hours later, seasonally, maybe not in the summer as much, or late spring or early fall, but there are certainly the majority of the year, you could probably go away to work or run errands and come back and go right back in the same place. So it's going to take a lot of man hours if you're going to be trucking all those wheels. Maybe we should just kind of go on complaints and then kind of vet it out carefully, and maybe the police can kind of ask in a very genteel way, what type of relationship do you have with this person at all, or what kind of contact, and get a feel, because, you know, ultimately if somebody says, well, they're such and such or whatever, and it's kind of, you know, challenging to listen to, it may be an issue where there's bad blood. But, you know, I don't think it's arbitrary and capricious. No disrespect meant to Mr. Frieden, because every section of the town has its idiosyncrasies, and it's really incumbent on the committee to be sensitive and be agile and nimble to those needs. There are issues, you know, as you know, some of you better than I do, that in Ocean Grove and West Neptune, that just don't come into play in Ocean Grove. And you can't really put something out there that's going to make everybody happy and it's going to be a comprehensive solution for everybody. You got to kind of hit the sweet spot, and I think you did the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Blvd.
Kennedy Buckley, 65 Road Road. Something about parking, one of my favorite topics. If it were possible to have needed parking on the ocean front of Bradley Beach, is there any interest on the part of the Neptune Township Committee considering generating some revenue as Bradley Beach currently does in summer to the tune of $150,000 each year? And I didn't check it, but it's past. Any interest at all? No interest in generating revenue.
Still looking at it, still bringing it up, Mr. Buckley, as you well know. I know this quite a few times in the parking committee, the township committee and the parking committee. As you see, we're down 2 members again. This was, luckily, this was reporting in for the last couple of weeks.
Not forgetting.
See you later next week.
I meant to give you a copy.
I appreciate you don't do that, man. This is not public, this is private.
Also, I'm in a public space.
Any new
I was on vacation last week, and so I haven't had a chance to extend myself as long as I can. And the answers have changed since the last week I was
all the drivers, like he does.
Now you can congratulate this year.
Good night.
This side of the road.
Well, I thought that we wanted to introduce.
I stayed right here.
Kelly, where we could ask him questions. Is that ever going to happen?
Mr. Concho, by the way, was sitting right next to you the whole time. We introduced him. He might be in the back hallway, but we introduced him. He gave a statement, and I don't know if you were here when he first gave his opening statement. He told him about himself, and he sat here, and now he's probably in the back. So if you want to talk to him,
Was that at the workshop?
no, it was when we opened up the meeting.
All right, maybe I wasn't here.
I think you came in a little later.
I was worried, not only about the fact that everybody on the committee now is pro-cop, when actually what we had the reform about was certain things that happened under Mayor Brantley and under the 2 people that are now members of the committee. And these things happened in their watch. Now you're bringing in a new person. is a city policeman. It seems very nice. He said it was the Newark.
Retired police captain of detectives from the Township of Newark. And he also owns his own police consulting and investigation company.
It seems to me that since the purpose of the reform was to stop certain things that were happening too often, what you would be looking for is someone good at de-escalation. You shouldn't be looking for a sharpshooter. You should be looking for someone who's good at de-escalation, at finding a solution for something other than shooting, that is very law-abiding, and when you are talking about bringing someone in who's from the city, originally a captain of police in the city at one time, am I not correct?
Correct.
In Newark. Then you get into city-type policing, which I did a search on it. It's called quality of life policing. It's called broken windows. It is treating small things that happen as if they were deadly serious, especially if they are done by young black men. And I found indeed, and I'm hoping that he is not bringing those ideas with him. He seems like a nice guy, but if he's got those ideas, he's got to leave them where he got them. Here's an article, the cost of quality of life policing. Thousands of young black men coerced to plead guilty to crimes they did not commit. That's by a professor from Loyola University. Here's another thing, quality of life policing. The practice of order maintenance policing is premised on society being divided into two groups. The orderly, upstanding, law-abiding white citizen, oh, I threw in the word white, sorry. White citizen, and the disorderly criminal in the making black citizen. I threw that one in too, because that's how it's being read. Once in existence, this construct is used to justify policies that treat the disadvantaged person as one who needs to be policed, surveyed, watched, relocated, and controlled. This is two tiers of society, and you're mistreating one just because of his color and possibly his poverty. I don't want to see any of that come to Neptune. And in fact, when I look back on with nostalgia is when I was a little girl many years ago, and my father had us, three of us, had us memorize our address. And if you ever find yourself lost, you go to the nearest policeman, he's wearing a blue suit, and you tell him you're lost. And that will solve the problem. I am looking forward to what happened to that. Where is that blue-suited policeman who will take you to the station and give you an ice cream cone? I don't know. But I don't want to see this.
Thank you.
I'll take you home, Dorothy.
I'll take you for ice cream. I like it.
Anyway, I don't want to see if any of that comes here. You're going to have even more trouble with dealing with it.
Thank you, Dorothy. Ms. Holmes.
My question is this. I'm listening to Dorothy. My question is, the gentleman that was here, is he going to be checking with the police or the city? I mean, this committee is overseeing the police department or the city?
This committee was formed to be an oversight committee for the Neptune Police Department.
Okay, so he will be out in the city.
Well, no, that's not true. He will be going to different township committee meetings. He will be going to homeowners association meetings. He will be going to different places. He will be talking about himself and some of the things that we as a committee will be looking to do. So yes, he will have per se, not a lot of personal things going on with the committee, but he will be in the committee, so people will know who he is, they'll know what he's about. And yes, he will be part of our committee relations with the police department, yes.
All right, so now, all right, I understand that he's going to oversee the police department.
Yes, yes.
Township committee too?
No, the police committee, see, at one time years ago, the township committee was supposed to supervise administratively the police department.
Right.
We call appropriate authority. Then it was changed to a police director. And now it's going back to the township committee, who appoints a special committee to oversee the police department. This police committee, that's what it's called. It's an appropriate authority to make sure that the police department is following what they need to follow. And they report, and the police committee reports back to the township committee.
Okay, now my other question is this. You have 3 men on that committee. Why couldn't you get a woman? There's got to be a woman somewhere that could have served on that committee.
I can answer that real easily. We had 7 applicants originally for the position, all right? It was going to always be 2 governing body members, which we appointed 2 governing body members. We had 7 people that originally put in applications for interviews. As we went along, 3 of them dropped out. There was a woman that we were very interested in having come in for an interview, former state police person. Lo and behold, before we got to interview her, she took a job in the town as a police director, which basically eliminated her at the time. At that point, she didn't want to interview. What we winded up with was 3 male interviewers, one being this gentleman here, one being a former state trooper from another town, and the third one was an Asbury Park police officer. We interviewed these 3 individuals for 5 hours. We asked them everything about everything, as far as running the police department, community, all different things, and after it was over, Dr. Brantley and I sat for hours, we deliberated on it, and we came up with Mr. Colacelli. So to answer your question is, when it was the final interview process, we had no women that were left to be.
But you could not have appointed someone to this committee.
That wasn't the way we were doing it. It was going to be done fairly. Everybody was showed interest.
I understand.
So we couldn't appoint a woman who wasn't in the running. I mean, we couldn't just say, well, we're going to appoint you, because the process was to have people submit resumes and interviews, which they did, resumes. And when we finally sat down to interview, we only had 3 males. Connie left. So we absolutely had to pick one up because of what we were doing and how we did it. The fairness of it was to interview the 3 top people that we felt were the best.
Okay, well, I'm really disappointed because I know there are some women that could have served very well on that committee. We are now back to the good old boys thing. We got 3 men on that committee, and the men up here. I mean, where does it stop? Where does it stop? We women, ever since 1920, we bring you into the world, but then we gotta fight to even vote, and now we can't even get on these committees. It's just not fair. It's not fair at all. I'm very upset about that.
Thank you, Connie. Ms. Clark, and then you, Mr. Breeden.
Thank you. Nancy Clark, 47 Embury. And before I get to what I really want to talk about, I want to say thank you for passing that ordinance, because I did have a car in front of my house that did not move for 4 months, and there was no way the police could do it because, and I was not able to park in front of my house there for 4 months. So I thank you for passing the ordinance, so if the person does it again, and get it removed. So thank you. I actually wanted to speak to thank Vito because he reached out to Dennis Upchek and me to provide some comments on the Historic Preservation Commission RFQ. I know you are looking to prepare a new RFQ to redo the guidelines for the HPC. And so he did reach out to us and we did appreciate it. We got back to him last week and I just wanted to share some of our thoughts that we shared with Mr. Galileo. We looked at the RFQ that was dated June 27th, and it had included 3 phases that were really related to the designation of the historic district. So we didn't need that. So therefore we focused on 2 other areas. We suggest that the services that be provided through the RFQ, when you get to the RFP, we review and update of current guidelines with the goal of maintaining the heritage of the historic district. And the resulting document should be clear to the layman with concise information and realistic choices about appropriate rehabilitation and new construction within the district. We would want that consultant professional to review and recommend procedures that affect historic preservation in conjunction with other township departments, such as code and construction, etc., so that we can look at the flow. And then also determine how to best incorporate community input. We researched a number of historic districts in New Jersey and compiled a short list of districts and professionals with whom they worked to write their guidelines, and we shared that with Mr. Galileo to look at. We noticed that the guidelines were written by professionals ranging from preservation planners to historic preservation specialists, from architectural historians to architects. It was not only architects who were involved, so therefore we suggest that the RFQ be widened beyond architects, but to include professionals as were used in other towns in New Jersey. And that you look at the credentials of those professionals and actually build an RFQ to meet the qualifications of the people who have done it elsewhere. Finally, we suggest that because that person is going to, or their company is going to review procedures as well as policies, we recommend that the search for an architect or other professional to work with the HPC be deferred until an assessment of the process can be completed. That was where the idea was to have an architect come in and look at basically the administrative review for so that everything didn't have to go to the Historic Preservation Commission. Again, it might not be an architect. Looking at the policies and procedures, they may say that yes, that would work, no, that wouldn't. So we're recommending you wait till they actually get the report. So again, thank you for allowing us to make those comments and look forward to working with you on the next steps if we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Clarkman. Jack?
Mr. Brady?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Jack Brady, 94 and Tech Avenue, Ocean Grove. The following is a partial list of separate items that the redevelopment subcommittee should have been working on since 2008. According to the Neptune Township North End redevelopment plan dated March 24, 2008, the following would be required before the committee and the redeveloper sign a redevelopers agreement to develop the North End project. Page 23, number 4, quote, the redevelopment agreement or agreements shall contain provisions to ensure the timely construction of the redevelopment project, qualifications, financial capabilities, and financial guarantees of the developer, and any other provisions necessary to assure the successful completion of the project. 1, qualifications, this is qualification, unquote. Qualifications means what has WAVE ever built? Financial capability means do they have the money? Financial guarantees would require a letter of credit from a bank payable to Neptune Township if the project is not completed on time, pursuant to the redeveloper's agreement. the timely construction of the redevelopment project, meaning according to a schedule of dates, each phase of the project will be completed. The subcommittee must prepare this schedule. Page 24, number 10. A redeveloper, quote, a redeveloper shall be required to pay their proportional share of the cost of any studies, plans, reports, or analysis prepared by the township or its designated redevelopment entity as part of the Ocean Grove North End redevelopment plan. Any such payments required to reimburse the township shall be specified in the redeveloper's agreement. The total could exceed $800,000, but according to an Oprah request, many financial records have been destroyed. They must be recovered by the subcommittee. Page 19. Neptune Township will limit its use of eminent domain to instances where there is a clear public purpose, such as roadway improvements. The redevelopment map on page 8 and the minimum front yard setback requirements on page 13, when viewed together, show 1, the last block of Beach Avenue, 2, the boardwalk, and 3, Wesley Lake walkway to the north are existing municipal streets, according to the plan. However, they are not, and they need to be acquired through the process of eminent domain before the redevelopment contract is signed. We cannot rely on a fraudulent map. Page 12, quote, affordable housing shall be provided, unquote. The question is, how many units will there be? Will there be, where will they be located? How much will it cost to construct them? Page 14, required off-site improvements. The redeveloper shall construct a structural retaining wall / bulkhead along the site's frontage on Wesley Lake. What is the estimated cost? The boardwalk. Page 6, the site is bisected by the boardwalk, which provides pedestrian access to Asbury Park to the north and Ocean Grove beachfront. The designated redeveloper will be required to create a gateway design feature at the north end of the boardwalk. This has not been done. It's now up to the subcommittee to select a design feature such as a statue or monument for that location, along with the estimated cost. What is the estimated cost to prepare a plan for the underground parking garage, the excavation and removal of soil from the site, to build the park, how much will it cost to build the parking garage, drive pilings, construct the hotel, build the single-family, multi-family condos and townhouses, rebuild the North End Pavilion, rebuild the boardwalk to 60 feet pursuant to the redevelopment plan, build the waterfront promenade along Wesley Lake, build the proposed boat docks, the pedestrian bridge over the boardwalk connecting the hotel and the pavilion. Also, page 14, the cost of, quote, site plan improvements for streets, water supply, sanitary sewage, and stormwater management facilities. Get that one, stormwater management facilities. Page 19, easements. Provision should be made for the easement, for an easement to allow access to the eastern parcel of the pavilion building for services, garbage collection, and deliveries. So you see, all this work the subdivision committee is supposed to be doing. And the reason they should be doing this is because we cannot stand having a project of this magnitude and this size being halfway completed and then the developer goes bankrupt. We can't, I know you're not interested in hearing any more, but I'm saying, Mayor, we cannot stand Ocean Grove. Can't have the same thing happen to Ocean Grove as happened to the Esperanza up in Asbury Park, where they didn't have any guarantees. It's your law. I just read your law, and I'm saying you should obey your own law.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Anybody else? Ms. Harris.
Diana Harris. I have the proper name for your committee, your police committee. Is that the proper name for it?
At this time, it's called the police committee.
Police committee, or police oversight committee. I don't know. I've heard today, we had a meeting today, we called the police oversight committee. Actually, I think the
ordinance says, the The ordinance says police.
Right, ordinance said police committee.
Okay. All right, I did reach out to Dr. Brantley and just giving you a heads up on this, that we would like for you to attend, police committee, to attend the next Works community meeting, which is on the 19th of this month, all right, which is on a Thursday.
Thursday the 19th.
Yeah, it's on a Thursday.
Where and what?
I'll get back to you on the location, because where we were gonna have it, we can't, so we're still looking for a spot. It may end up here at the township. With this, I have a question though, with developing this committee, what happens to your police commissioner position? Will that still be in existence, or does that kind of?
I mean, the committee?
Yes, is
We can
that?
talk to the committee about that. I still have the title police commissioner, will be the liaison
Right.
with the community.
Okay, but that position will still
Mhm.
exist? Okay, I understand your reasoning for not wanting to be on there, but moving forward, will the police commissioner be a part of that committee?
I would think in the future, meaning next year, that you'd want to have the police commissioner as part of the committee, but for now, it's the way it is.
Okay. With the whole development of this committee, are you considering, putting on the position of a deputy chief?
I can't tell you, they haven't, the committee only met once so far, and they haven't discussed that issue.
Okay. I am in agreement with what Mrs. Holmes was saying as far as females were concerned. Is there any consideration to a civilian review board?
Hasn't been discussed yet.
Okay, take notes. Take notes. Okay. And with all of that's going on, especially with the Hubbard case that was on the agenda for tonight and the other cases that involve employees of the police department, can anybody give me some general idea of how much we've spent in legal fees on these lawsuits?
We could certainly put a number together. A lot of the expense is being covered through our insurance carrier, but there is also local expense as well. We can start to put some numbers together, please.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Yes, ma'am.
Courtney Atkins, 55 Tremont Drive, Neptune. Hello, friends. So I would like some ice cream after this, if you don't mind. Cone Zone.
Cone Zone, that's right.
All right, I'll see you there. Okay, so I am obviously here for Shark River, South Riverside Drive Mitigation Project. Vito, we received your press release, and I just wanted to make a couple statements, and then maybe you guys can tell us, or me, where we're at with that. I did not text anyone to tell them to meet me here, saving me probably an hour of time. So, you're welcome. The press release is a little weird. Like, I didn't respond on nextdoor.com. I thought it was getting a little vicious. I don't know if you guys follow that website for the community.
We've heard
but
about it, but
it just seems like a lot of people that I was working with to help protect the river were being shamed, and I just didn't like the tone, so I kind of stayed out of it. And then I read the press release, and when I see how the coaster covers it, I'm just a little concerned, and it makes me feel sad because the group that I work with, we're not outspoken citizens. We are collectively a group of people that have backgrounds as teachers and doctors and lawyers and people that work with the river and the environment. And when we spent all summer advocating against this FEMA project, I think you heard us, and I think that you guys thought about it, and then I left, and now it seems like it's coming up again. And I'm like, wow, Clean Ocean Action was behind us. The American Littoral Society was behind us. And now it's like the backlash, oh, let's shame these outspoken citizens and let's make it seem like, oh, now all of Neptune has to pay taxes for the storm drains. But I attended school here at a school that, my parents had to pay for in this county, and they still paid their taxes for Neptune education. And I didn't receive the benefits of Neptune education. And I wouldn't mind paying for Fabio Court to get shoveled. I wouldn't mind paying for Ocean Grove's boardwalks as a Shark River resident. So I don't know why the township of Neptune would have trouble maintaining our storm drains with their taxes. We pay a lot of the services that the majority of us in Sharp River, not to sound entitled, but we don't really use them. And we pay for senior services. I pay for education. I don't even have kids. I'm not an elderly person. My grandfather watches Judge Judy in his chair. Like, he doesn't go to the Neptune Senior Center, but yet I'm fine paying for that. So I would like to know why we can't let FEMA give their money to Puerto Rico, because even if we had a 100-year storm and built this armored dune project, it would wipe it out. So just keep in mind that nature's gonna do what it does, so you should let the Shark River remain beautiful and let us enjoy it while we still have it. And if you are gonna do something, you probably should consult all of the towns that are touched by the Shark River, and you probably should have a lot of transparency, because I know that I'm a good person, but I'm not afraid to come here and babysit this for the next year. I hope that you can at least include us. I don't like to get off work and know that this meeting's going on. I get that it's Columbus Day, so you might have changed the meeting, but I don't see my people here. I know that they would be here. This is a big deal to me, and I'm not going to just rest, and I hope that you can respect us and not make us seem like we're just a bunch of kooks. I'm a faculty at a university, and I really think that I've respected you, and I hope you do the same for us. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Ocean Grove, why not just make it a seasonal towing? Like, in the summertime, you can enforce hardcore rules. Maybe that would be like a happy solution. I don't know.
Thank you. Comments? Any more comments from the public this evening?
Hey, Jen Coombs. I've been out of the loop, so could you give me like a inside scoop with what the police committee is all about? And I just found, I just want, like, what's their motive? Like, I don't know, like, what you guys supposed to be doing. That's
okay. Let's go back. You know what? I'm gonna have Mr. Gattaletta explain it. He can explain. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Anthony explain.
State statute provides that there has to be a civilian supervision of the police department. It's called the appropriate authority. The statute says who the appropriate authority can be. It can be the township committee as a whole. It could be a subcommittee called the police committee, or it could be a public safety director or police director. The township committee chose to have a subcommittee called the police committee to supervise and administer the police department. This is civilian control over what is generally considered to many people as a quasi-military.
I know that, but what is your objective? How are you gonna like implement that? That's more.
The police committee will be in direct contact with the police chief. Will investigate actions taken by the police department, its policies. It will be involved in new regulations for the police department and new policies.
How about the IA division?
Well, there's certain areas it would not get involved in, but we're still evolving and determining what areas we want to get involved.
Okay, it's more of a. Thank you.
More comments for the public? Seeing none, I close this portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.